Welcome back. We are here with Mistress Evie Gurchuran and we're at Java Cafe. We're enjoying our lunch and our conversation. Now, if you want to learn a little bit more about your company, in terms of the staff that you have, how do you find them? How do you provide training for them, or is it that you get behind of the counter, the stove, and you go cooking every day? How do you do it? How does Java function?
Well, one of the things about the Guyana's market is that a barista was actually an unheard of occupation when we first opened our coffee shop. So every single person that has applied for a job has had to be taught the art of tea and coffee making. So, but for us, it was not so much a challenge, or we didn't view it as a challenge. We viewed it as an opportunity to train people the way we need them to function in our space, so that our products and our service was unique to Java. In the beginning, it was really tough. We moved from a marketing agency where it's just my husband and I, and subcontractors, to managing upwards of 20 people. If you haven't had previous experience in HR, you haven't had previous experience with working with teams on an everyday basis, I won't lie, you hit your frustration point very quickly, but we have found a good balance between us. People will say I'm the really soft kind of one, and he would be the more of the realistic, we have to hit goals kind of person. But for us, we've found that balance where our staff needs the boost and the morale, and somebody to be there with them in the kitchen or behind the counter. I'm there with them, cheering them on, helping them as much as we can. And when we need somebody to tell us, hey, you guys need to tighten up here, tighten up there, or we need to change things, or we might not be open next year. He's really forceful in that, and I'm thankful that we have that dynamic, because people often say that, again, that I'm really soft, but it's really not that. It's that I don't have to be that person because he is that person, so I can be that person concentrating on the employees' well-being and their work morale and those kind of things. And when we need the business aspect and the fine-tuning and clamping down on finances, we have that person that's doing that. So I just need to be who I am and who I need to be for my team.
Awesome. So you have the support system, and then you can also flourish in the area that you specialize in. So that's pretty good. And I know with every success story, every business, it just didn't happen overnight. There must have been challenges. There must have been times when you say, this is enough. I want to quit. I'm not doing this anymore. But you've somehow managed to push forward. Can you just take us back to one of those moments?
Just a couple of months ago, I was thinking I hate my life, and I would wake up in the morning and I'd be saying I hate my life. And then, I just had this amazing revelation, or one morning I wake up to say it, and my daughters were lying next to me, and I was like, I don't hate my life. Let me take those things out, like in my mind, what I love about my life. I love my family, I love my employees, I love this or that. I love the social projects that I do. So what is it that I really hate? And what I really was frustrated with is that doing business in our country, in our economy, in our climate is really difficult. And I found that most of my frustration came from that. And there not being resources or even training opportunities and opportunities for growth. One person said to me one time that, it's like you're living 10 years in the future when you're as ambitious as we are as young people, and you're trying to use what's available to you, and you get frustrated because you feel like you know so much more and you can make so much more happen given the right tools, given the right resources. And when I realized that was my frustration, and not the blanket statement, I hate my life, I decided that we need to change it. My husband and I both decided to go get our degrees, because we just started working straight out of school. Yeah, we're studying for our degrees right now. We have a plan that next year we're going to start our masters. And then I applied for the wildlife program and I was in tears when I did my interview with my host, because I was like, you wouldn't believe how many people I've reached out for and asked them, help me, I don't know how to run a restaurant. Because my knowledge of running a restaurant was volunteering on a ship in a system where I basically just had to throw powder into water and all these things are made. But when you come to the level that Java wants to offer, and we're making everything from scratch, and we have to know recipes, and baking is a science, and tea and coffee is a science, and like I said, dealing with different personalities and dynamics, and running that level of the business. And I've read and I've watched so many videos where it is the curse, where you think you can come out of working at a restaurant and run a restaurant, and the only thing that could change was us. We needed to change what we knew. We needed to change how we were applying that knowledge or lack of knowledge, and basically just find those people that had the knowledge and were willing to share that knowledge with us and help us to grow. Just because they want to see young people grow, and just because they want to see young people do better with the limited resources, rather than, you know, to gain some kind of, to gain anything from it.
So that's all pretty exciting, and you wear many hats. So there's Java, like I said, there's MTech, and there's Sites.gy. Tell us a little bit more about the other two projects that you're working on.
Sites.gy. At first, I did not want to get on board with Sites, I wouldn't lie, because I felt like I was already doing so much. But then when I saw how excited people were at the possibilities of learning to build a website in a day, and when I was you know, sharing my experience with storytelling and how you can use content to really draw people into what you're doing, and young people were like flocking us to talk to us, I was like, this is huge. This is talk about making an impact. And that's where it was. I would tease my husband, he's like a celebrity, because like when the internet now came out in Guyana, he was like on it, and if you're in your young 20s and people meet him, they're like, I know you, you're like the guy on this forum, and they're like, can I have your autograph? Kind of. So they actually had their own local community webpage and those kind of things. And you know, people always say technology is changing and that kids are on technology. Yeah, they are, but what are we feeding them? We're just feeding them the use. But here is Sites offering the opportunity for us to tell the story in Guyana, to tell stories from our perspectives and in our context. We were all pretty mad about the articles that are being written in Guyana with the newfound oil. I think someone referred to us as clapboard houses and those kind of things. And you know, I read that article, I read it again, I digested it. And you know, there were points that had to be made, but from a Guyanese perspective, I would have made them in a much more loving, and I don't know how else to put it, in a way that says, hey, we have scope to work on, but we also have a people that are determined, and we also have so many possibilities. If we can fix a couple of places, if we can listen to people, if we can have, you know, more technocrats and people that are qualified in knowing where the change is and knowing how to strategically kind of, you know, evoke that change, and we can do better. And here we are saying that Sites is going to give, we're rolling out 6 community websites. We're starting with Agricola and then All Boys Town, where we're actually going to teach the young people how to create their contents on their website, use the website to advertise businesses in the community, as well as help the people that will be organizing the website to gain income from the website by offering ad space and these kind of things. So we would like to see this replicated, and every community having a website in Guyana to kind of build community pride, first of all, and secondly, to get people involved in the narrative of what Guyana is, and building our digital equity with the tools and the articles and the stories that matter, that should be told in Guyana.
So Sites.gy is going to build or create a community narrative and let people know what is happening in Guyana and to change the narrative a little bit.
Not just create it, actually create opportunities for young people to gain employment and even highlight what their community needs are. There are people all over the world that are interested in philanthropy and interested in helping communities, but how do they know what's out there and how do they know where the help is needed? And when I say help, I don't mean a handout. I mean a hand up. Where can we invest in a child's education so that they're the future of that community? They're the ones that turn it around. And it goes way beyond. I've been in missions for almost all my life. So when you want to have a conversation about how money is invested into communities and how money can change or break communities depending on how it's done, you really need that local influence and that local impact and people working on the ground in communities, and not just a foreign organization coming into for a week or 2 weeks, because that's not impact. So we wanted to start the projects in the communities and then invite people in if you'd like to join with us to make a difference, and not come make a difference for a week and then go and there's no real impact.
So Sites.gy, where you can make a difference. Look it up. So this year you've had a whirlwind year. I've been a part. I played a little part and seen all that you've very little part, and seen all that you've been able to accomplish this year. And you're taking Guyana by storm. You are championing a lot of things for women, especially for female entrepreneurs. You've been able to go to the US to represent us, and you represented us pretty well. So tell us a little bit more about your trip to the US and all that you've learned while you were there.
When I applied for the wildlife program, I didn't tell anybody about it. I remember you making a post, did anybody get through? And I messaged and said me, and I guess you didn't know what I was talking about because you didn't respond. And I did not tell anyone about it until the US Embassy would have published it. And I think for the most part, I was a little bit in disbelief too. That's something as amazing as that would have happened. And it was because for the most part of the year I've been working with my head down, just trying to get out of a bad situation that we had last December. And a fire affected our branch at the Gifland Mall. And we were really fighting to keep Java going after that. And it was just every day in and out working. I don't even remember where I found the time to do that application. And then leaving for 5 weeks seemed like hugely impossible. I was scared to leave my 2 kids. I was scared to leave my husband. I was scared to leave the business. I was having real anxiety and a lot of doubt. And I actually expected somehow for my husband to oppose and be like, "You're not going anywhere." But amazingly, he sat with me and he helped me fill out those applications. He's helped with my homework. Sometimes my team, I would call on them to be like, "Hey, I need some information for homework," and they would help me with surveys and those kind of things. So it really, even though I was the one that went to the US, I really feel like it was a whole group effort, and they were, with me all the time. And it was an amazing experience to be in Charlottesville and to have an idea of what a thriving ecosystem could be. Really fueled me. I came back and I already did 3 programs. And that's just because I don't want that feeling to dissipate. I want to keep it going. And when I talk about ecosystem, I'm talking about networking opportunities, opportunities for co-work space, opportunities for partnering and helping each other achieve projects by bringing your specialty to it. I think one of the things that we do wrong here in Guyana, I'll just speak for Guyana, is that we try to be the one-stop shop for everything sometimes. I found that with so many businesses. But if I can bring my marketing acumen to a project, and then you can bring your human resource discipline to a project, how much more could we do instead of me trying to to now learn something or now learn a field to execute something which I will fail at. Because not necessarily fail, but obviously not do it justice. And partnership and structure is something that I was very much exposed to and very much appreciative. And just the scale and magnitude of executing something like YLI. Oh my gosh, to be a part of it.
I know. I had the privilege of being a part of YLI, and I know coming back you'll have that YLI fever and that YLI fire. So I want to learn more about what you have planned for the remainder of the year. And so stay tuned, we'll be right back.